Seems a shame that I can't do anything more with this $1 bill and use it as a bookmark. But until such time as I can figure out what to do, it's a bookmark. Oh, hello, folks. Hi and howdy. Welcome to the schoolhouse once again. Welcome to the channel. Come on in. Sit yourselves down, ladies, gentlemen. Yeah. Hope everybody's doing well. And it's good to see everybody. Here's what we're going to be doing today. This channel has been in existence for about 90 days, not terribly long, but I had thought that at some point someone would have some questions, and maybe enough someones would have enough questions to justify a question and answer session on the channel, Q&A. Well, so far of the several hundred visitations, nobody has posted any questions whatsoever, which is fine. No one has to have a question. It's not mandatory here. Not at all. But if we're going to have a Q&A session, I'm going to have to take from the questions that were asked of the visitors who came to visit the school at the park. There are a number of questions. Some required delicate answers, shall we say, so as not to offend people. Some required a certain sense of adroitness, shall we say. Some weren't questions, they were statements, but they still had to be responded to. And my job is to enlighten, inform, educate, and keep everybody happy. So, here are some questions that were commonly asked, some more common than others, by the visitors who came to the park to see what was happening. The number one question, asked by far more than any other question, and you can probably guess what it is. Where's the restrooms? Unless they were from Canada, in which case they asked, where's the lavatory? Easy enough question. It was probably the easiest question they ever could have asked. There were two places. One was at the top of the hill at the visitor center. The other was down in where the historic area was kept, behind a barn. So much for that question. I like those questions. Easy. Nobody gets angered. Question 2. These are in no particular order, by the way. Aren't you hot? Well, the short answer is no. No, I better not ask that. Are you hot? Because it's evident many a time that the person is asking the question, they're hot. They're uncomfortably hot. This question and the answer is going to require a lengthy explanation, and I'm going to tackle that with an episode of this channel dedicated just to answering that question, and why the answer typically is no, I'm not hot. Number 3, do you sleep in the attic? No, there is no attic. If you look up at the ceiling, you'll see there's no trapdoor, there's no ladders, there's no anything. And if you go outside and look up, you can see the pitch of the roof is such, if anyone was up there, they probably would be sitting on their knees, because that's about all the room there is. In such cases, like in my case, for instance, I sleep with the parents. Oops. There's another way to put that, isn't there? I sleep in the homes of the parents of my students. It's part of my pay. And we've discussed that before. Yeah, a common enough question. How far do the kids have to walk to get to school? There's really no telling. Records, we've discussed records and documentation before. There's nothing to tell how far away the furthest one walked to get here, or the closest. It could very well be that just outside that door or the window, there's a farmhouse, and they can get here in 5 minutes or less. Others might be an hour or two. The school was built in mountain country, or really tall hills, if you want to call them that, and it's a guess on my part. 2 miles, maybe 3, is about as far as they're going to get. They have to get up in the morning, do the morning chores, and then get here by the time the school starts. If they can't get here by that time, typically I wouldn't want them to come because it's reinforcing being not punctual. So 2 to 3 miles. And how long is the school day? I don't know. How long do the parents want? It's their school. They built it. They made the decision to have a school. Nobody else was going to make the decision for them. No one else was going to build it for them. If they want this school, which is their school, I cannot emphasize this enough. If they want their school to be open 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day, 8, which I really can't see, but if they wanted 8 hours a day for whatever reason, it's open 8 hours a day. But typically I wouldn't think that. 5 to 6 is probably about right. Again, there's no documentation. People don't track that sort of thing back then. Not like in your time period, for instance, when they track everything. What subjects are taught here? Easy. Reading, writing, arithmetic, spelling. That's it. You're not going to find calculus here. You're not going to find geometry here. There's no need for geometry. These are farmers, an occasional blacksmith and a miller. They need to know reading so they can read and write a contract. They need to do their sums, their addition, multiplication, etc., to tally up how many sheep they have, how much lumber they sawed up in one day, what's the weight of a sack of flour. Transaction, they need to be able to count the money too. That's very important. And like this $1 bill from Farmington, New Hampshire, which I use as a bookmark. We've discussed this before in this series on money. It's still a bookmark. Don't know what else to do with it. Physics, no. For geography, well, it's easy. See that over there? That's called a mountain. Down in the valley there, that's called a valley. If there's a river running through it, that's a river valley. That's a creek. What more geography do you need to know in a situation like this? Not much else. Farmers are very practical people, and I don't know of any other people who are as practical as farmers. So reading, writing, arithmetic, spelling, that's pretty much it. I, as a teacher, can, if I want to, stop the education for a moment. I have a story for you that you might like, particularly if they've been good students. Why are there no desks? Why does everybody sit on a bench? Easy. Not that the bench is easy. If there is money for fill in the blank at the schoolhouse, it exists because the parents foot the bill for anything and everything. These parents, Franklin County, Virginia, 1850, farmers, some barely above subsistence farming. You're lucky you get a bench. Desks would be nice. And speaking of that, one day someone asked a question about the desks. Why aren't there any? Why are there just benches? And I gave the answer that I just gave to you folks. And someone in the audience, pretty of advanced years, shall we say, said that when she was in school, and it was a one-room schoolhouse, they sat on the floor on a blanket or a piece of cloth because that's all the money that there was to afford. No desks. Who takes care of the fire? Well, since I'm the first person here, I take care of the fire. I build it. To keep it going for the rest of the day, not my job. That's a student's job. I'll appoint one of them, or more, as many as it takes, to keep the fire going. If they want to stay warm in the wintertime and not freeze their behinds to their benches, they will keep that fire going. Not a problem. And what happens to unruly students? That's going to require an entire episode just to discuss that. That's an exceptionally sensitive topic in modern times. I can remember several times answering the question legitimately and getting a rasher of pushback and It's going to get its own episode, folks. It's going to get its own episode. Is there a Pledge of Allegiance? No, it's not invented yet. If you want a Pledge of Allegiance, you're going to have to wait until the end of the century. And because that is also a sensitive topic, it's going to get its own episode here on the channel. Where is the Christian flag? There's just this one. We don't have one because it's not invented until 1897. Not that it was ever here. I can't prove that, but it doesn't even exist in 1850. And sometimes, as I had mentioned, it's not a question, it's a statement. Your flag doesn't have enough stars on it. A lot of snarky responses went through my head whenever that was brought up. I can't be snarky and keep my job. So instead of saying something like, well, how many stars do you think it's supposed to have in 1850? Because if they knew, they wouldn't be asking or making that statement. This is 1850. This is all the states we have, except one. Here's how this works as far as stars on the flags, our flag, are concerned. If you are a newly admitted state to this here glorious union, and you were admitted before the 4th of July in a calendar year, your star goes on the flag 4th of July of that year. If you are admitted after July 4th in a given calendar year, you don't get a star until the next July 4th. September the 9th of 1850, not terribly long ago, California was admitted as the 31st state. They are not represented by a star because they don't fit the criteria. It's 50 stars in the future, 30 in the present, this present, and next year in 1851, it'll get 31 stars. And this next question. Don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh. Bite your tongue, bite your lip. Did the Indians ever attack here? Please. No, I never said that. I never said that. I might have thought it. Never said that. This is 1850, not 1750. The entire East Coast, top to bottom, is largely settled and peaceful at this time. If you're concerned about Indian attacks, you're going to have to think somewhere on the other side of Arkansas. There are certain troubles underway. And yes, I did use the word Indian because I've been reprimanded for using other terms. Because according to the people doing the reprimanding, those are white terms. And it's just another example of us white folks defining other people by our terms. And besides, if this was 1850, there'd be Indians. Yeah. And I always had a lot of fun with this one. Where's the bathroom? Meaning the bathroom for the schoolhouse. Well, when the park took possession of the school, it did an archaeological survey to see what was around here related to the school. Like, for instance, an outhouse. Nothing was ever found. Nothing was found, no trace of any outhouse. So, and that's what I would tell them. Which begs the question, well, what did they do? So I just point out one of the windows and say, you see that tree right over there? Some of the people of advanced years would grin, maybe even chuckle and chortle. Some people of less advanced years, like, for instance, those under, let's say, 50, some of those people would just go, that's horrible. They had this ghastly look on their face like they'd just seen a giant tarantula. But that's what and really I'm just funning with them because they're not going to use a tree that you can see by looking out the window. The trees are out back. The boys' trees are over here. The girls' trees are over here. Keep them separate. There's plenty of bushes in between. And of course someone would ask, what do they use for toilet paper? Well, the Sears catalog doesn't come around till 1891, so that's out. Montgomery Ward's has a catalog in 1872. This is the whole catalog, one page. That's the whole catalog, just one page. But what about toilet paper? Real honest to goodness, what you would recognize as being toilet paper? 1857. And to use it, you're going to have some money. Because that is a luxury item, especially when you consider that leaves and moss and other naturally found things in nature, provided by nature, are free. Just be very careful what sort of nature material you use. If you find some leaves that are in threes, don't use it. Just don't. World hurt. Questions of a more sensitive nature. I'm either going to have to, in future channel episodes, not discuss them at all, or devote an entire episode to them and just try and be as delicate as I can. Unlike 1850, some folks in some centuries and some cultures can get really hostile if you answer a question that pops their comfort bubble. And I don't want to have that happen. My job is here to educate and inform, have a laugh or two here and there, not to deliberately tick people off. If that was my job, oh, do I know some material that would just set this area on fire. And we just might get to that because it's all part of the learning process. Speaking of the learning process, that's enough learning for one day. There's only so much you can take. I want to thank you all for coming today. Appreciate your being here, all of you. If you're new here, welcome. Hope to have you back at some point. Hope to earn a like and subscription. And if you do have some questions, any question, you know where to put them. Be looking forward to answering whatever questions you may have. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you again at the next exciting episode of Dave Diggs History. And until our paths cross again, I have the honor to remain your most respectful and obedient servant, Dave Diggs. Coming to you from, as always, a long time ago. Thank you now. Bye.